Welcome back. I've suffered a couple of more rapid losses recently, and the frustrating thing about both of these is that I thought I was playing someone about my own rating level, but in neither case was that true. In this first game, the person had about my same rating in rapid, but when I checked their profile later, their blitz rating was 400 points higher than mine. Their bullet rating was 200 points higher than mine. This is a person that does better than me at chess and apparently has more experience at it than me. They just didn't have a higher rapid rating than I do. But I had chances, and that's the even more frustrating part. In the other game, the person was at my rating in rapid, but very recently, 3 weeks ago, they had been several hundred points higher than me in rapid. And whether through bad luck, they had lost a bunch of games, or maybe sandbagging, I don't know. But anyway, let's take a look. Okay, in this first game, I opened with the Caro-Kann, as I often do. We ended up... I'm not sure why I thought that was a good idea. Maybe I was defending this pawn. I don't know. But I'm not that far behind at this point. Okay, +2. A little bit behind. But my opponent began making mistakes here in the middle game. That was a mistake too, apparently. I should have taken back with the pawn, I'm guessing? No, I should have taken back with the queen. Oh, well, the rook was the worst thing I could have done there. I guess other than moving the king out of check. But still, up until move 17, I had chances. This is move 15. You can see by the evaluation bar that I have a slight advantage. That turned out to be not a bad move. The king moves out of the way. Here, my absolute best move would have been to bring the queen back, but it wasn't that horrible to drop this bishop back. The idea there was that that bishop wasn't defended where it was, and from here it also defends this pawn. My opponent did that, which wasn't their best move, and now I have minus 1.3, and this is the last place in the game that I had a chance. And Stockfish says queen to f2 is my best move. I don't know what the follow-up would be for that. I think that's my problem with that move is then where do I go? Because this rook's not in danger, the knight's protecting it. The knight's not in danger, the pawn's protecting it. So what would my queen be doing here? I don't know. So I don't think I would have considered that. Alternatively, it says I could have brought it to f4, and it would have been just fine there. But again, what's it doing? Just hanging out in the middle? I'm very, very hesitant to just leave my queen hanging around in the middle of the board if it's not in the middle of doing something. Because again, these pieces each are defended by something, so it wouldn't be threatening anything there. And my third best move would be to go all the way back here and offer a queen trade, I guess. But what I did instead was what I should have done a couple of moves ago, apparently. And now that's a mistake. And now my opponent has a slight advantage. They play their absolute best move here. And these arrows are from when I first looked at it. Those are my two best moves, according to Stockfish. Well, now it's changed its mind. It's saying this is one of my best moves. But yeah, h6 and knight to e7 are among my best moves. Offering the queen trade again. I did not play one of those. I thought, why not challenge the queen? The problem with that is that the queen can just go here, and that's the absolute best move on my opponent's part, and they made it. So here, I'm supposed to go king to f8, or put the rook back where it was and let the knight have it. Well, I didn't do any of those. I did this. That turned out to be very bad. Now here, my opponent didn't play their absolute best move, but they played their second best move, which is connecting their rooks, getting their last piece in action here. And I'm supposed to play queen to c7. I don't know what that would have done. I didn't see it. I did that. They gave me a free piece. I took it. That turned out to be very bad. And now I'm down -4, and my opponent had no trouble finishing me off after that. They threatened my queen. My best move here is just to take that with the rook. But instead I took that free pawn, which now it's +11. Almost +12. So yeah, they did that. Oh, here I did play my best move. King to e8. That was actually my best move at that point. My opponent played their absolute best move at that point. Here I'm supposed to just take it. That's the best I can do in that situation, is just take the rook. Or take this even is another possibility. Wait, no, now it's not saying taking the rook is one of the best moves. Now I'm okay, that's the, oh wow. Well, I did take the rook, and that turned out to be even worse. Okay. Well, they took me back, and then what can you do from there, right? I had to move this rook somewhere, and oh yeah, Stockfish says they have a mating sequence now. It says rook to b1 is actually my best move here. I don't know why, but I guess if they have a forced mating sequence, it doesn't really matter. That's just trying to slow them down. But I didn't do that. I went over there, which I should have gone one further, but I went there, and Stockfish says just to not even take it, but they did. So, but it came back to down here at this point, move 17, where I actually have a slight advantage if I will just see one of these moves, and I'm probably not going to see those because they don't make sense to me. Obviously, I need to get the queen out of danger, but how was that the best move? How was that so much better than everything else? I don't know, but it is. In the second game, which was over on Lichess, again, we had a Caro-Kann. And this one, they tried this accelerated Panov attack, I think is what that's called. And they didn't respond to it as people normally do. Instead, they just started throwing pawns. So that threw me off. Turn on the engine here. Like, I actually have an advantage already on move 6. But this was a person who just 3 weeks earlier had been rated 300 or 400 points higher than this. Over 2,000. And you know, on Lichess, the rating system is different, so the numbers are different. But I'm about 1,700 here. They had been over 2,000 just 3 weeks earlier. So I don't know if they were sandbagging or if they just had a really bad streak of games. But regardless, I guess they felt fairly confident they could get out of this. And I had an advantage, but I was making mistakes too. And here at this point, still minus 1 point something. Minus 2. Now that was minus 3.9 here at this point. It says my best move here is to castle. Well, that's what I did. I knew that that pawn was pinned once I castled because this rook then is pointing at their king. So minus 5, minus 4.9. I mean, that's pretty good. They didn't even make their best move here, taking that pawn. Oh, and I'm supposed to take here now? Well, I took the... Oh no, the Stockfish has changed its mind. I did the right thing. I took the bishop, so I'm up minus 5. And they're supposed to take back with their pawn. And I'm supposed to take that pawn, so still minus 5. And here, they're supposed to take, which of course would allow me to take back with check. But that's what they're supposed to do. That's the best move for them. But instead, they brought their king forward. I guess to get out of the pin there. So minus 7. Ahead of a person who 3 weeks earlier was rated 300 or 400 points higher than me. Now right here, I need to take that pawn. And I have no idea why I didn't. Because it's a free pawn, and it would open up this whole file for my rook. I guess what I was thinking is that if I go forward, I have a passed pawn. If I take it, it's not technically passed because it can't get past their h-pawn. So I was thinking passed pawn. And then in just a second, I'll bring this one up here and I'll have it'll be protected. And as soon as they allow me, I can push it forward. But that turns out to be a huge blunder, taking away almost all of my advantage. I'm still up a little bit, minus 2.1, but I should have taken the pawn. And here they played their absolute best move, which is to develop one of their undeveloped pieces, and it blockades my passed pawn. And I need to get this knight out, or put this rook here. I guess I could see the rook going there, but not entirely sure what it would be doing. I mean, I understand lining it up with the king. But anyway, one of those two moves is my best move. But I went with my plan, which was to get my little 3 in a row here. That takes away the rest of my advantage. Now, over the next few moves, I did get a slight advantage again. Here, for example, but then I play an inaccuracy to make it almost even again. My opponent plays an inaccuracy. I go here, I'm up -1. They play there. And again, I need to play rook f to e8 to maintain this advantage. But instead I played that. And I never had the advantage again. And I don't understand what's wrong with that. I do know I'm not technically threatening this knight. It's protected by their other knight and of course the rook that's just moved over there. But I honestly can't explain why I did that. But I don't know what's wrong with it. But yeah, I had to play this here for some reason. But that move, for whatever reason, even though it can't be immediately attacked, it's a big problem. Now, they did play their best move here, and maybe that's the problem with that bishop move, is that they can go here, which kind of forks my bishop and my rook. And that forced me to play what Stockfish had been wanting me to play all along. And maybe that's why it wanted me to play that. Because if I had had my rook there, this knight couldn't have come in. Okay, I think I see that now. But I wasn't worried about this because, I mean, I'm up a pawn at this point. Their king has been kind of forced out into the middle. I honestly didn't care if they took that right now. But they didn't take that right now. They took the free pawn. So that was a problem there. Which they couldn't have done if I had moved this rook here. Instead, that pawn wouldn't be available because their knight's in the way. If I had just played the move I was supposed to. But I didn't. Okay, so maybe that's why now they can take that free pawn. So now I'm not up a pawn anymore. We're still about even though, and I played the best move in the situation, which was to take that knight. But of course they get to take mine. Oh, I see. I could have maintained equality by playing there. It lines up on a pawn and a check, but of course they would have moved the pawn, wouldn't they? Now, Stockfish thinks that if I had come over here threatening their pawn, that they would have brought this rook over here to defend it. But we would have maintained equality at that point. That's what it says. But instead, I just threw that pawn forward. Oh, that's the other reason I should have moved this. Okay, the reason I moved that pawn is because it's under attack right now. And I thought if I move it forward, then it's not under attack. That was my thinking. But I could have done this, which protects that pawn and attacks that pawn. Well, that makes sense, but that's a blunder. And my opponent follows that with a blunder, which is that, and only h5 maintains equality here. Interesting. Well, I did that instead. Now it's +4. What should I have done here? Oh, bring my bishop back to protect that pawn. Okay, that makes sense. Or bring my rook over to protect it this way. It's +4. Both of those would have just been delaying tactics at best. Instead, I went to check the king, and they went there. Oh yeah, I could have taken this pawn now, but I didn't. Yeah, I did not take that pawn. It also says I could have come back. Oh, that would have been nice, because my bishop's guarding that square. Okay, well, I didn't do that. I went over here. And they took my pawn. So I can't take their knight right now because I'm in check. So I have to move out of check. I moved out of check the wrong way. I was supposed to go this way. Why didn't I go that way? I didn't go that way because I was afraid of this rook, but I shouldn't have been. My bishop's guarding that square. Oh no. Well, I went the other way. And then they were able to move their knight. And so I took a few seconds here, looked at the position. I couldn't figure out a single move that made any sense. So I just resigned here. But anyway, I did have chances in both those games, except, again, I didn't understand them. This one came back to this position where I was up -7, almost -8. If only I had taken that pawn. Or got this knight out. Or if I'd played bishop to c5, I still would have been up -6. But I moved the pawn forward, and that took away almost all of my advantage. And then a couple of moves later, it was even. So it's frustrating, especially when afterwards you find out, oh, this player last week, well, 3 weeks ago, was rated 300 points higher. And in the other game to find out, oh, this person's rated 400 points higher than me in Blitz, 300 or 400 points higher than me in Bullet. And apparently they're just having fun playing Rapid and don't really care about that rating. So ended up in my range. But anyway, I'm still working on it. I'm still trying to figure these things out. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all your support, and we'll see you next time.